Hello everyone. I am Dr. Vishal Vishwanath Ausrapur, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, Swami Vivekanand Senior College, Madras. Today we see the lecture topic, that is Physics of Ancient Indian Technology. These are the some ancient Indian scientists. In this lecture, we see the some point. First of all, we see Indian contribution to science from ancient to modern era. Second one is overlook. Third one is chronological overview. Fourth one is name of scientist and field. Fifth is ancient physicist, and last one is summary. Even today, in the world of robotics, we term as traditional knowledge is actually based on scientific reasoning. Our scientific achievement is yoga, religion, philosophy, astronomy, mathematics, medicine, science, etc. Bohdan mathematical concept said first mathematician who talked about and calculated the value of pi to calculate circle and area of circumference. Solva Sutra before the Pythagoras. Aryabhatta also calculated the pi, decimal system, number theory, etc. Solar system hypothesis. Umbra is the dark part of shadow, whereas the penumbra is the less dark part of the shadow. Further, we see the Rishikana in 6th century BC. Vaisika school concept and atomic theory. Varahamitra, Varaham, Varahamira in 6th century AD, hydrology, geology, ecology, astrology identified 6 animals and 30 plants who can help to locate groundwater. Brihad Samhita about earthquake. Siddhantika for astronomical system. Now we see the Nagarjuna in 2nd century BC. The existence of iron pillar in Delhi. The pillar was installed as a trophy in building the Kuwait ul Islam Mosque by Sultan in 13th century. It is evident that indigenous technology had been very sophisticated. India's contribution to science and technology from ancient to modern era. Indian contribution to science, natural air conditioning, complex stone work, and construction engineering. The Indus Valley civilization was the world first to build planned towns with underground drainage, civil sanitation, hydraulic engineering, and air cooling architecture. While other ancient civilizations of the world were small towns with one central complex, the Indus Valley civilization had the distinction of being spread across a region about half of the size of Europe. Weights and linguistic symbols were standardized across this vast geography for a period over 1,000 years from around 3000 BC to 15,000 BC. Now we see the Charak and Atre Rishi in 1st century BC, early propounders of Ayurveda and medical science, royal doctors of Imperial Kanishka Charaka. Charak Samhita provided root causes and treatment for various diseases. Sushruta 1000 to 800 BC. In we see that plastic surgery, rhino surgery, contract ophthalmic surgery, Sushruta Samhita, apart from 11,000 diseases and 700 medical plants. Patanjali in 2nd century BC to 4th century BC. Yoga comes Sanskrit words use means to unite individual and universal consequences. Healing without medicine provided physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual balance. Meditation and controlled breathing, that's been pranayam, from 21st June 2015, global recognition to rich and glorious Indian past. Now we see the Indian ancient physicists. First we see Lagada in first millennium BC. In Vedanga Jyotika, which provides details on several astronomical attributes generally applied for timing social and religious events. Vedanga Jyotika we has a connection with Indian astrology and mention important aspects of the time and season, including lunar month, solar month, and their adjustment by a lunar leap month of Adhimasa. Ritus and yugas are also described. It is also mention of 27 constellation, eclipse, 7 planets, and 12 sign of the zodiac known at that time. We can see here this image. Next, Aryabhatta. Aryabhatta was the author of Aryabhatiya and the Arya, Aryabhatta Siddhant. Aryabhatta explicitly mentioned that the earth rotates about its axis, thereby causing what happened to be an apparent westward motion of the star. Aryabhatta also mentioned that the reflected sunlight is the cause behind the shining of the moon. He also discussed the principle of the diurnal rotation of the earth rotation from west to east. The great physicist, astronomer, and mathematicians, he invented the value of pi, notable invention of zero. Earth is spherical body and it rotates around its own axis. Lunar eclipse. Now we see the Bhaskara first in 6 to 9 C. His works on astronomy are Mahabhaskarya, Laghu Bhaskarya, and Aryabhatta Bhasha, a commentary on the Aryabhatiya. He devised method for determining the parallax in longitude directly, the mention of the equinoxes and the solstices and the quadrant of the sun at any given time. First physics, now we see the first physics in Vedas. Atomic theory from Bhagavad Gita, which Indian invented atomic theory. We know that Acharya Karan. However, the atomic theory was formulated 25,000 years before. Dalton, which was given by Indian sage and philosopher, the Indian sage who gave the atomic theory was Acharya Karan. Who is the real father of atomic theory? John Dalton. He born in 5 or 6 September in 1766, Eaglesfield in England, and he died in 27 July in 1844 in Manchester. He is an English meteorologist and chemist, a pioneer in the development of modern atomic theory. From the 19th century to 21st century, everyone knows John Dalton, who is credited with the development of atomic theory. But today, in this era, a very few people know that the atomic theory was originated about 26,000 years ago by an Indian sage and philosopher. It is believed that the sage lived between the 6th century to 2nd century BC. It was Rishi Khanna, an Indian philosopher who drafted the ideas about the atom in systematic manner. His real name was to be known as Kashyap. Since his childhood, even small things tempted his attention. He is being been called as the father of the atomism, who propounded the Parmanu, that means atom, an approach to physics and philosophy. In the approach to physics, philosophy in the Sanskrit text Vaisika Sutra. Vaisikas further claim that atoms come of the some substances combine with each other to create Dhyanuka means diatomic molecules and Tranuka means triatomic molecules. Electricity has become an important part of our life. It is quite impossible to imagine life without electricity. Nowadays, electricity from thunder and lightning has also fascinated us since primitive ages. We are still working on how to safely store and use enormous electric energy discharged from thunder and lightning. We have ample evidence which prove the use of electricity and battery way back around 10,000 to 8,000 BC. People in ancient times were well aware about electricity. Electricity has been cited in fifth mandal of Rig Veda. For example, oh people, the day and night can be spent in comfort if electricity and fire, just like the sun, God are usually tactically. Here is one Rigved slok in Sanskrit language. Now we see the different kinds of electricity, and it's mentioned in some Sanskrit words that Taditi means generated by rubbing silk cloth. Saudamini means generated by rubbing two gems. Vidyut, it means generated from thunder. Satkumbi, it means generated by 100 cells of pillar. Hardani, it means store electricity with portable properties, and Asni, generator of magnetic rod. There are three main sources of light and energy mentioned in Rigved. First one is sun, second one is electricity, third one is fire inside the earth. And here is one of the slok of mentioned in this slide in Rigved. It means that it can be assumed from the above verse that use of sunlight during the daytime and the electricity at night was used during the Vedic age. The great Sage Agastya mentioned the process of making battery in his composition, Agastya Samhita, in around 8,000 BC. Now we see the history of electricity from ancient times to the modern times. Here is one of the slok, and we can see the here is image. In this slide, we see the one Sanskrit slok. It means that he says that if we use the power of 100 earthen pots on water, then the water will change its form into life-giving oxygen and floating hydrogen. Next law means that if hydrogen is contained in air-tight cloth, it can be used in aerodynamics, that it will be fly in the air. Now we see the laws of motion. Invention of laws of motion. There are two great scientists behind the invention of law of motion. First is Rishi Kanath and second is Isaac Newton. We all are familiar with Newton's law of motion, that Sir Isaac Newton, the physicist who formulated the laws of motion first. He published these laws in his book Philosophica Naturalis Principia Mathematica on July 5 in 1687. But before Newton, the laws were discovered by Indian scientist and philosopher, that is Rishi Kanath, who had given Vaishika Sutra in 600 BC, which described the relation between force and motion. We first discussed the Newton's three law of motion. Rishi Kanath, Vaishika Sutra, 611. Maharishi Kanath mentioned karma is related to motion, and there are 5 types of motion. First one is upward motion, second one is downward motion, third one is motion due to release of tensile stress, fourth one is shearing stress, and last one is general motion. The first sutra, here is one slok, Sanskrit slok. It means that change of motion is due to impressed force. The laws state that an object at a rest tends to stay at rest, and object in motion tends to stay in motion with the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. Second sutra, Veg means speed. It means that change of motion is proportional to impressed force and is in the direction of the force. Third sutra, it means action and reaction are equal and opposite. Now we see the matter state. Parmanu. Parmanu correspond to the organic molecular size as estimated by the modern Western scientists, as mentioned in Upanishad. The 5 elements of the natures are earth, second water, third air, fourth fire, and last one is Aksa. However, the concept of Aksa was missing amongst the ancient Greek or Roman philosophers. It was quite easy to deduce the role of the remaining 4 elements, as the earth represents the solid state, water constitutes the liquid state, the air form the gaseous state, and the fire constitute of the plasma as the 4th state of the matter. Now we see the Bhaskaracharya theory of gravitation. Bhaskaracharya stated that the laws of gravity in the book Surya Siddhanta in the 11th century. There are some sloks from Surya Siddhanta that mention how gravitation is work. Here is this slok. This is the Sanskrit slok, and we see the translation. It means that the spherical earth stands at its center in the space due to Dharantamika Shakti, which prevents earth from falling away and helps it stand firm. In this slide, we see the another one next slok. It means that every object falls on the ground due to Earth's force of attraction. This force allows the sun, earth, moon, and constellation to stay in the orbit. Bhaskaracharya wrote a treatise in Lilavati. He explained that Earth has a gravitational force. There is a mutual attraction between the planets, and this allows them to hold themselves firmly in space. He also mentioned the shape of the Earth, that What we see is not the reality. Earth may appear flat, but it is spherical in reality. He further explained this theory by stating that if you draw a very big circle and look at one-fourth of its circumference, you can see it as a straight line, but in true sense, it is a circle. Similarly, Earth is spherical in shape. These historical mention were the proof that law of gravity was first discovered in India by Bhaskaracharya. His law predated the law of Newton. Everybody everybody knows about the Newton's law of gravity, but we do not have any idea about Bhaskaracharya laws of gravity. Now we see a point light. In Rig Veda, light is explained as a source of energy or source of our life. Nature of light as a wave or as a particle was not come into a picture till date, till late into modern age. But in Rig Veda, it is clearly mentioned that 7 horses draw the chariot of the sun tied by snakes. Above poetic verse speak about the nature of light as being composed of 7 rays, and the snake symbolizes its curved path. Now these colors are actually described as a red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet in the Yoga Sutras and the Vedic Upanishad. In Rig Veda, following shloka state that the speed of light, which is nearly about modern value of 186 to 82.397 miles per second. Further, we see here is one another slok. It means that, O sun, overwhelm all in speed, visible to all, source of light, shine, pervading the universe. Another slok means in the universe, sunlight speed is measured with the help of units called yojan and nimisha. This verse explains that sunlight moves 2202 yojans in half nimish. Importance of acoustic. In modern times, the importance of acoustics is very well known. The field of acoustic deals with generation, propagation, and reception of sound. This figure we can see that. Now we see science from modern era. Satyendra Nath Bose, he discovered of Higgs boson, or popularly called the God particle, work in quantum physics. Bose-Einstein theory and a kind of particle in atom has been named after him as boson. Meghanad Saha, astrophysicist, chemical and physical condition in star, built a cyclotron, the first of its kind in the country, invented the instrument to measure the weight and pressure of solar rays and helped to build several scientific institutions. Sir C.V. Raman Singh. He discovered scattering effect of sunlight. This discovery is called the Raman effect. Jagdish Chandra Bose. Physics to the study of metal and then plant. He invented an instrument to record the pulse of plants. Homi Jahangir. Indian Atomic Energy Program. Baba. Carried out outstanding original research relating to cosmic radiation. M.K. Vainu Bapu. He is a senior astronomer in the Nizam Observatory, Hyderabad, creation of the Indian Institute of Astrophysics, revival of optical astronomy in dependent India. He is the father of modern Indian astronomy. Next one is Anil Kakodkar, the famous Indian nuclear scientist, became a youngest director of BARC after Homi Baba himself. Another one, our ex-president APG Abdul Kalam sir, a man of great distinction, known as the Missile Man of India worldwide, become very popular as India's 11th president. He also play a pivotal organizational, technical, and political role in India's Pokhran's second nuclear test in 1998. We know that next Kalpana Chawla. Chawla joined NASA space program in 1994, and her first mission to space began on 19 November in 1997 as a part of six astronaut crew on Space Shuttle Columbia flight STS-87. Further, Sunita Williams Pandya holds three records for a female space traveler, longest space flight, that is 195 days, number of space walk, that is 4, and total time spent on space walk 29 hours and 17 minutes. Thank you.